Tonight on News 22,
Shelby Cab takes you to El Paso for some of the first border wall construction.
Michaela Romero shows you how one Las Cruces teacher is trying to get kids moving instead of watching screens.
And Brett Kavanaugh and his accuser Christine Blasey Ford told two very different stories on Capitol Hill today.
All that and more on News 22 Thursday.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Garcia Moreno.
And I'm Shelly Cap.
It appears few minds are changed after an angry day on Capitol Hill. The Senate Judiciary Committee listened to testimony from Judge Brett Kavanaugh and the woman who claims he sexually assaulted her. CNN's Emily Schmidt has the story from Washington.
From the same oath to tell the truth, two very different versions of what that truth is.
I believed he was going to rape me. I tried to yell for help. When I did, Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling.
Brett Kavanaugh defends himself against charges he calls absolutely false.
I'm here today to tell the truth. I've never sexually assaulted anyone.
I am here today not because I want to be. I am terrified.
I just wanted to let you know I'm very sorry. That's not right.
Arizona sex crimes prosecutor Rachel Mitchell did the questioning on behalf of the all-male Republican committee members. Republicans have questioned the last-minute timing of Ford's revelation. Democratic committee member Dianne Feinstein knew about Ford's story in July. It wasn't made public until a September Washington Post report.
I am an independent person and I am no one's pawn.
Ford says though the alleged event happened more than 3 decades ago, she still gets panicked. She has 2 front doors on her house to ease claustrophobia. She says she doesn't remember all the details, but she does remember this.
Indelible in the hippocampus is the laughter, the uproarious laughter.
This is a circus. The consequences will extend long past my nomination.
With only the 2 of them before the committee, it is his word against hers, with senators soon deciding whose word carries more weight. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt.
And a Texas senator is on the Judiciary Committee, so he has canceled his campaign to El Paso, Texas. Scheduled for tomorrow, Cruces' team said that Kavanaugh hearing is lasting longer than expected, so he'll try and visit the borderland in the future. Cruz is in a tough re-election fight with El Paso Congressman Beto O'Rourke. And it's finally fall, but it's certainly not feeling like it. We've been having some pretty good weather.
It's been pretty hot lately.
Yeah, and Alyssa is next with our first look at weather.
All right, let's take a look at our current temperatures. So right now we are seeing sunny skies with a cool temperature of 83 degrees, winds at 3 miles per hour in the southeast direction, humidity at 46%, dew point at 52%, or 52 degrees, and barometer at 29.78 inches. Now let's take a look at our high for today. We saw 87 degrees, which is above our average by 2 degrees at 85. 61 was our low. Now let's take it back in time to 1977 when we saw a high of 87 degrees, and in 1975 we saw a low of 42 degrees. We didn't see any precipitation today, so our yearly rainfall sits at 4.65 inches. That's all the weather I have for right now. Stick around, I'll be back with your national forecast.
Border wall construction is underway in downtown El Paso.
I traveled down there today to see how much progress has been made. Construction began Saturday after Trump's executive order authorizing the construction. The new portion starts in El Paso's oldest neighborhood, Chihuahuita. Chihuahuita property owner Sandra Hayes says the wall saddens her.
The wall is not necessary. We need help the people. We need to other things better than that.
The wall will continue 4 miles east of Chihuahuita, running under the Stanton Street International Bridge. I am currently standing under the Stanton International Bridge, and as you can see behind me, there is an 18-foot steel bollard wall that is being put up, replacing the old existing fence. The estimated cost for the 4-mile wall is $22 million. And Fernando Garcia, the executive director of Border Network for Human Rights, says it will affect everyone in the community.
It's changing already. I mean, the way that not only the wall itself, but what it represents and the way that they announce it is changing the relations that our community have.
One way it's affecting the community is this year's Hugs Not Walls, planned for October 13th, where people from Juarez and El Paso meet in the Rio Grande and embrace, is in jeopardy of being canceled because of the construction.
But we're going to fight back. I mean, we know that at the end of the day, what we need is more connections, more bridges, but less walls.
And the construction is expected to continue through April of 2019. New Mexico State University is expecting to receive an important political visitor next week. Valerie Jarrett, a former senior advisor for former President Barack Obama, will be speaking at the Women's Leadership Salon on Monday. It will be at the university's College of Health and Social Services auditorium. She advised President Obama on public engagement and intergovernmental affairs.
Voter records are exposed, but the identities of these individuals remain unknown. Voter registration cards for several voters were found in the Old County Courthouse in June. Those cards contain confidential information about voters, including social security numbers. The Doña County Clerk Office is currently facing criticism for not doing enough to locate those individuals listed, because their personal information could have also been stolen. A teacher at Desert View Elementary School in Sunland Park is $5,000 richer this evening. Governor Susana Martinez was there today to award teacher Sherry Rees a $5,000 Excellence in Teaching Award. The governor defended her education budget, but did not mention a July ruling that New Mexico violates the right of at-risk students by inadequately funding public schools. The court ordered the state to present a funding plan adequate to constitutional requirements by April 15th of next year.
And public schools in Las Cruces are celebrating New Mexico Grown Week for the first time starting next week in October. The Nutrition Services Department is providing local grown vegetables in school salad bars to 52 New Mexico schools. Supporting New Mexico grown produce will help support family farms, sustain cultural traditions, and encourages children to eat more fruits and vegetables. Nowadays, when you look around, what you see are eyes glued to their screens, even little kids as young as 2.
Michaela Romero looks at the issue and investigates what can be done to reduce time spent on technology.
Isabella is watching music videos after a long day of school. It seems a majority of households look like this today. Kids are so tuned into their screens, they don't know what's happening around them.
Nowadays, you just don't see kids being active, you know? There's so much else to do, like being on your phone, being on your laptop, on your iPad, watching music videos on YouTube, and you know, they miss out on being outside.
So Amanda started a program called Aggie Play. It's an after-school program to get young girls active. She brings in college athletes to play with the girls to show them that exercise and sports and physical games can be fun. Volunteer Ashley Martin says kids need the physicality of sports and to explore what's off screen.
Helps you mentally, and it helps build character as a person. Like, I've learned so many great life aspects from soccer that like I know that I can take and use later on in my job.
And if they can't join a sport, getting active at home is still beneficial. Amanda says many children don't get much attention at home and their behavior shows it.
They don't want to listen to anybody. They're not very good with authority. And I think that comes from lack of attention that a kid might be getting because they're so involved in technology now.
Amanda says that it's important to put away the technology and spend some quality family time outdoors. She says it helps with behavior and it's fun.
We jump on trampolines together and we swing together a lot.
Ashley Martin says there's a good in technology, but kids still need to play and get exercise. Michaela Romero, News 22.
And stay tuned, Alyssa will be back with your national forecast.
But first, new developments in the Tai Chan case. More on that when News 22 continues.
At a recent KRWG coffee visit, we talked with KRWG fans about why they value public media.
I enjoy being so informed that I can be on par with my most intelligent relatives.
I love to listen to All Things Considered and Wait, Don't Tell Me. It's so much fun.
Because it's worth 10 times the value of how I support it.
Become a member online at krwg.org or call 1-888-922-5794. Thank you. Registering to vote in New Mexico is easy. Forms are available at Department of Motor Vehicles offices and your county clerk's office. And those with a driver's license or other state ID may register to vote online at sos.state.nm.us. You must be 18 years old at the time of the next election. Voting is a responsibility of citizenship. This message brought to you by KRWG.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Thursday,
where news matters.
A former Santa Fe deputy will go on trial for a third time for the shooting death of a fellow deputy.
Investigators say Ty Chon shot Jeremy Martin at a Las Cruces hotel after a night of drinking in 2014. This time, he is being accused of manslaughter, not a murder count. Chon is 31 and has been tried twice for murder in the death. Both trials have ended in mistrial. The grand jury will hear this case October 11th. According to Chon's lawyers, handling the case will be the District Attorney Office prosecutors. New Mexico has one of the highest child car crash fatalities. In recent data from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, New Mexico ranked 2 for the most child car crashes fatalities. Every day, 2 children are killed in car crashes in the United States. Most are caused by improper car seat use and improper seatbelt use. The safest states for child passengers have a fine of $106 compared to the states with more fatalities, which have an average fine of $45. Make sure your child's safe by checking your child is the right size and height for the car seat, and make sure the seatbelt is always secure. Now, an alarming health alert. A record number of people died from the flu in the U.S. last year.
And Zach Covert has more.
The flu held a deadly and historic grip on Americans last winter. An estimated 80,000 people died from influenza and flu complications, making it the deadliest flu season in more than 40 years, according to new information from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In past seasons, flu deaths ranged from a low of about 12,000 to a high of 56,000. The 2017-2018 season was particularly harsh for several reasons. Flu-like activities spread like wildfire across the entire U.S., and it was high for months. Severe cases began in November, spiking until the end of March. And the flu didn't just affect seniors and those with weak immune systems like it usually does. Severe cases hit physically fit, healthy people of all ages. It got so bad that overwhelmed hospitals treated patients inside of tents in parking lots. Millions of Americans got a vaccine, but last year it was only about 40% effective. Regardless, doctors advise getting vaccinated because it lowers odds of getting the virus, thus saving tens of thousands of lives and preventing more than 100,000 hospitalizations. For today's Health Minute, I'm Zach Covert.
New Mexico State University could become a place to test the growing of hemp. The legislature approved a plan for hemp to be investigated as a viable agricultural crop. It's hoped hemp will become important for farmers in southern New Mexico.
I think it's going to help with jobs in the state. It's going to help with recognition of the state for producing a high-quality hemp product in the western United States. And I think on the economy, it's going to have very much a positive impact.
It has been illegal to grow hemp because it's closely related to marijuana plant, but it does not contain the chemical to get a person high. Well, the last hurricanes were on the East Coast, and I heard now we might have some on the West Coast.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And Alyssa is going to be next with weather.
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look at temperatures around the country. So in Phoenix, they saw a hot 104 degrees, Lubbock at 79, Chicago at 71, and Cincinnati at 64 degrees. Now let's take a look at my next map. We're going to talk about Hurricane Rosa. Now, that just became a hurricane as of yesterday. The storm is located 500 miles south-southwest of Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. Now that storm is headed our direction. Let's take a look at my next map where we're going to take a look at winds. Now they're expecting the highest speeds tomorrow at 140 miles per hour, and the speeds are expected to decrease into the week. By Monday, they're expecting 70 miles per hour, and by mid-Tuesday, 45 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at my next map where we can talk about what that could mean for us. Now there is a low pressure system moving in from the west where we could be expecting some precipitation and some lower temperatures. I'll detail that later in the 5-day forecast, but for right now, stick around. I'll be back with temperatures around the state.
Fresh Air with Terry Gross, weekday mornings at 11 on 90.7 FM and streaming live on KRWG.org.
The political documentary that feels like a thriller.
They call them dark money groups. They know how to manipulate the system.
Engrossing.
I don't know how to fight them because I don't know who they are.
We don't even know if they're domestic.
Compelling.
This is scary stuff, but I think this is the proving ground for the American experiment.
Monday at 9 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Antiques Roadshow is swinging into action to discover the hidden treasures of the unsuspecting citizens of Gotham, Metropolis, New York City.
Oh my goodness, really?
This is a phenomenal example. That's terrific, to say the least.
My mother would be turning in her grave with this.
Tune in next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 8 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
All right, let's take a look at temperatures around the state. In Farmington, they're seeing 76 degrees, Santa Fe at 73, Clovis at 75, and Las Cruces at 83 degrees. And for tomorrow, they're expecting highs in the 80s, 85 in Farmington, 80 in Santa Fe, Clovis at 85, and in Deming, Las Cruces, and Roswell, they're expecting a high of 93 degrees. Now let's talk about temperatures around Las Cruces and Alamogordo. They're expecting a low of 65 degrees, clear skies, and tomorrow a high of 90 degrees. And in Truth or Consequences, clear skies overnight, 68 degrees, and for tomorrow, 93 degrees. Clear skies as well. And in Silver City, overnight low of 59 degrees, and tomorrow they're expecting a high of 85 degrees. And finally, in Las Cruces, we're expecting an overnight low of 69 degrees, and tomorrow a high of 93 degrees with clear skies. Now that's all I have for right now. Stick around. I'll be back with your 5-day forecast.
A blazing attempt to break into a Colorado pot shop.
My goodness, that's the first story in tonight's Southwest Minute.
Police are looking for up to 4 teenagers who they say smashed a stolen van into the front of a Colorado pot dispensary and ran off with t-shirts and what they thought was marijuana. Turns out it was oregano. But the damage they left behind is the real problem. Police say this isn't the first time crooks tried this tactic. A puppy is saved thanks to a quick-thinking teen who works at the Humane Society of North Texas. 19-year-old Blaze Hall stopped a man who walked out of the shelter with a puppy. Hall chased him down and grabbed the pup. People call him a superhero. The puppy will go to her forever home this weekend. Police are looking for the suspect. A California dog is safe after getting stuck in a predicament. Literally. She was trapped inside a wall but is free thanks to the fire department. The owner found Luna with her head stuck in a wall, scared yet still wagging her tail. Luckily, they didn't have to use the paws of life to free her, just a mental bar and a strong arm. I'm Jackie Lotta with the Southwest Minute.
We're just a couple of weeks away from seeing local celebrities strut their stuff on the dance floor. Look Who's Dancing 2018 will be held October 13th at the Pan American Center here on campus. It's the 11th year for the event, which is a major fundraiser for New Mexico State University's dance program. The dancers are already working hard to be as graceful as possible on the dance floor.
We do have entry-level courses that have you don't have to have any kind of experience, and so you're going to take it from the beginning, and that's every single one of our ensembles.
So I heard our cross-country team is far for their next meet.
Oh, I wonder where.
I'm sure Adon will tell us. He's next to sports.
Thanks, Shelby and Kelly. Coming up in sports, find out who the volleyball team is facing as we speak. Don't go anywhere because News 22 Sports is next.
Trying to remember who we are.
And action.
Friday at 8 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Next time on A Chef's Life.
All right, there's you a basket. It may even double as an umbrella.
Can't get my bangs wet.
Right.
I got some shishitos from
I
you,
know,
and they
I know.
lit me on fire. Tomorrow we are going to Lamb Stock. Lamb Stock is kind of like a party for chefs and restaurant people. I'm scared.
My dear friend Vivian Howard.
I'm trying to make the star of the Peppers.
Saturday morning at 10:30 on KRWG Public Media.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Adon Contreras, and let's talk sports. The New Mexico State volleyball team is currently hosting their WAC conference home opener against Seattle University. The volleyball team dropped their first two conference games away from home. They lost to California Baptist and CSU Bakersfield, both in 5 sets. They are looking to get back in the win column tonight against Seattle. The Aggie volleyball team finish out the week at home on Saturday at noon against Grand Canyon at the Pan American Center. The New Mexico State soccer team opens up WAC play tomorrow at home against Utah Valley. The soccer team finished non-conference play at 1-9, and they are looking for better success in the WAC. Eileen Galicia leads the team with 4 goals on the season. Galicia and the rest of the Aggies are hoping to find the back of the net more often during conference play. NMSU takes on Utah Valley tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the New Mexico State Soccer Athletic Complex. The New Mexico State men's and women's cross-country teams are getting ready to head to California. Sacramento State is hosting the Capital Cross Challenge. After they got last weekend off, the cross-country teams should have fresh legs this weekend. The men's race is scheduled for 10:50 a.m. with the women's race to follow. The NMSU basketball team held their first practice on Tuesday, and head coach Chris Jans is excited about his returning players this season.
Group overall is really adapted to the culture well, and having returnees helps it. Last year everybody was new. This year at least we had some returnees to kind of show the way. This year's group overall.
Tomorrow at 6 p.m. the New Mexico State athletic teams will be at the Plaza de las Cruces for Downtown Aggies 2018. This is a chance for the public to meet and chat with all the Aggie athletes. There will be food trucks, vendors, community organizations, music, and a pep rally. High school football is heating up here in New Mexico, and all the Las Cruces teams are in action at home this week. Mayfield and Oñate score off tonight at 7, with Oñate looking for their first win of the season. The undefeated Centennial Hawks host Carlsbad tomorrow night at 7, and the Las Cruces Bulldogs host Hobbs on Saturday at 1 p.m. All games are set to be played at the Field of Dreams. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action next week. Still ahead on News 22, Alyssa will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, this particular restaurant just can't stop. Find out which restaurant is gearing up to release its own beer when News 22 returns.
On Wonders of Mexico, it's the birthplace of cowboys and home to creatures found nowhere else on the planet. Survival on the untamed frontier of the burning north on Wonders of Mexico.
Sunday at 2 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Next time on The Great American Read, The Handmaid's Tale, Moby Dick, and the Harry Potter series are just a few of the books we'll explore when we confront villains and monsters on The Great American Read.
Tuesday at 7 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Let's take a look at our top stories. The Las Cruces District Attorney says he intends to charge former Santa Fe Sheriff Deputy Ty Chan with manslaughter. This is the third time Chan has gone to trial for allegedly shooting his fellow deputy in 2014. And Ted Cruz has canceled his appearance in El Paso tomorrow. Republicans say Cruz is making changes to his plans since he is busy in Washington with the Brett Kavanaugh hearing. And I traveled to downtown El Paso to see the current progress on the border wall construction that started recently.
IHOP is making new additions to their menu after rebranding themselves as IHOB to promote their sales of burgers. IHOP is now brewing their own beer using pancake batter. IHOP's is a pumpkin batter stout for a limited time during the fall season. IHOP is partnering with Keegan Ales, a brewery based in Hudson, New York. It will be served on top at select bars and festivals. IHOPs will now be made available at IHOP restaurants.
Okay, so IHOP now makes burgers, but are their buns made out of pancakes too, or do they actually have real hamburger buns?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up on that one.
All right, now let's talk about weather. So, into the week, we are expecting lows in the 90s, or highs in the 90s, I should say. 93 on Friday, 92 on Saturday, and 91 on Sunday. And that changes into Monday. We're expecting highs in the upper 80s when we're going to see chances of rain. 30% chance of rain on Monday and a 10% chance of rain on Tuesday. So we're expecting some rain, so get that umbrella.
And don't forget, you can catch all of today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News 22.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for show updates and the latest on what the News 22 team is up to. And that's all for News 22 Thursday. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Tune in next week for more news from across the Southwest. I'm Shelby Kapp.
I'm Kelly Garcia Moreno.
And I'm Alyssa Tays. Good night.
Good night.
This news brief in Español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Les saluda con mucho gusto Gaby Hernández. Trágico accidente el pasado viernes por la tarde deja un muerto. Un niño de 5 años fue atropellado por una camioneta alrededor de las 5:30 en la calle Cambridge en Las Cruces. La investigación reveló que la camioneta Toyota se dirigía hacia el este cuando el niño salió a la carretera sorpresivamente. El conductor de 17 años permaneció en la escena y cooperó con los investigadores, mientras el niño lesionado fue trasladado en avión al Centro Médico Universitario en El Paso en estado crítico. El pasado domingo por la noche, el niño fue declarado muerto. La velocidad y el consumo de alcohol no se consideran factores que contribuyen a este accidente. Por lo tanto, hasta el momento no se espera que se presente ningún tipo de cargos contra el conductor. En otras noticias, un juez en Pensilvania sentenció al comediante Bill Cosby a pasar de 3 a 10 años en la cárcel, luego de que el jurado lo encontrara culpable de 3 cargos de agresión indecente agravada por drogar y agredir sexualmente a Andrea Constant. El comediante de 81 años también tendrá que pagar una multa de $25,000 y acudir a sesiones de terapia durante el resto de su vida. Los defensores del comediante solicitaron sentencia de arresto domiciliario argumentando edad avanzada y ceguera. Para Noticias 22, Gaby Hernández.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.